All right, we're going to catch back up with our first speaker. We're going back in time. We're going back to our first speaker. She's here in the right place, right time, right now. It's okay, because everything can be fixed in post, right? Where everything looks like it went off without a hitch. We'll just edit it out. So Janine Bolon has been in media since 1982, where she was the Saturday morning host of Spotlight on DHS at the local radio station. Since then, she has moved from a radio show host to an audio blogger in 2005 to podcaster in 2016. She and her team at White Glove Broadcasting syndicated 7 shows on 112 internet platforms and 64 public radio stations. I introduce to you Janine Bolon from Colorado.
Thank you so much, Ty. And stay up here just a moment, Ty. Please, let's give a round of applause for this man who has worked his butt off to get this room and to bring podcasters out of behind their studio. If it hadn't been for him, I would not be here today. So the first thing is a little audio-visual. As podcasters, we do a lot in the audio world, but very little of the visual. You're on mute. How many times have we needed a card just like this in our world? You can get it for free off my website, JanineBolon.com. Go to that /mute. Normally, I'd have all kinds of slides up for this and everything, but I didn't want to do all that. I just wanted to come to you real and raw, because that's how our audio files are when we first get started. So I'd like to take you back, and I'd like you to go into that car that you may have had, your very first car. Remember how you finally got that first car? It was like your wings of freedom. And you may have turned on a radio or Sirius, and you would have said, oh, look, KDFN, KOEA-FM, serving the current River Valley with information and entertainment. We are your non-stop shopping center. No, I'm joking. BRN 549. You would have heard all kinds of wonderful things on your radio at that period of time. That's when I started in the media. I started in radio as a radio show host for a little station in Ripley County, Missouri, 10 miles from the Arkansas border. So when Ty King asked me, hey, Janine, would you be willing to fly to Arkansas? I said, are you kidding? It'd be great to get back home and have some catfish. I love it. So anyway, I love Arkansas, and I love the fact that Arkansas is so generous that I could have gone to school and become a Razorback, or I could have gone to the University of Missouri at Columbia and become a Tiger. I'm sorry, I had to choose the Tiger because that was the only one that had the biochemistry program in plants, and that's what I ended up being, an analytical biochemist in analytical chemistry. So I was part of the Food for the 21st Century program because we were so worried about the population explosion we knew was coming. So what does this have to do on Earth with podcasting? It has everything to do with podcasting. Why? Because your podcast is a reflection of you. What are you passionate about? How you go about it, how you get into the industry, how do you decide to move with it is the most important thing that you can make. There is a problem that you're going to solve with your podcast. There's a gentleman here who solved a problem that he had in his life with Don't Read the Comments was the name of his podcast. Love that. You know exactly that something about this podcast is going to be a little off square, right? Then you have the other people that like Cramps. I love Katie. She doesn't know it, but my daughter listens to her podcast that's coming up. Can't wait for it to come out because finally she's going to be talking about something that is important to her. She's 17. So there are people out there who are waiting to hear what you have to say. And there's always that challenge of, well, who would want to listen to me? Because when you first pitch the idea, who do you pitch it to? Friends, family, that sort of situation. What do friends and family? They want what's best for you, but then this podcast may take on and may take time away from them. And even though they're trying not to be selfish, they don't necessarily want you to change or grow in a way that a podcast will make you change or grow. A podcast will make you change. How many here can say you're the same person you are today than you were when you first started your podcast? Can anyone tell me that they are the same person? I don't think so. That having to get out there, you have it a little more challenging than an author. I've written 22 books as of right now, And I was back in the industry of 2005. I wrote a book called Money, It's Not Just for Rich People. I went to 35 publishers. They said, no, we're not interested in you. And I went, screw it. I'm going to do this. They didn't call it self-publishing. It was called vanity publishing. You were so vain that you were publishing your own book. So I became a vain author, published my own book, Money Is Not Just for Rich People, and started to produce it. And there was this thing called Amazon where you sold books. And so I went up, and all of a sudden I was famous. And so somebody asked a question of Sweet Kate about, hey, has anybody ever identified you, blah, blah, blah. I got that as an author by being in Walmart one day in a city I had never traveled to with my 4 kids, trying to keep them in their car seats and cart and everything, and moving through, and somebody goes, Janine Bolon? And I thought, oh my God, I've done something wrong, because I'm ex-military brat. My dad was in the Navy. If somebody knew how to pronounce your name, you were in trouble. And I stopped, and I went, yes? And they were like, oh, I got your book. It's in the car. Can you sign it for me? And my kids, in that moment, looked at me and went, Mom, you're famous. I want that for you. That's why I'm standing here on this stage. People told me I was crazy, because Ty gives like such big checks. He bought me a cup of coffee. That was my royalty right there. Thank you very much, Ty. You're a very generous man. Love that man. But the reason I'm here before you today, when I could be in a million other different places, is because I want you to have somebody you deeply care about look at you and see that you're famous. And it is what they perceive of you. And that's what's important, is your listeners see you as bigger than they are, and they want to be where you are. Now, why is that? Your listeners feel that way because they hear your true voice coming through. Do you know it's harder to trick your voice than any other thing? That voice actors, when they die, they really are insured for millions of dollars. Think about Warner Brothers. They had one man who did 1,000 different voices for them. And when he died, they decided they would never use Marvin the Martian again because of his particular voice, okay? And that didn't change until corporate and blah, blah, blah. We won't talk about that. We'll talk about the beauty of Warner Brothers in the 90s, okay? But Marvin the Martian, that's why it didn't go on for so long, was they waited for his legacy to pass on. Did I do it right? Who knows Marvin the Martian? Raise your hand. Oh, okay, shoo. Okay, sometimes I get into a crowd and they're like a little too far back in the past. Ooh, sorry, didn't mean to go that far back. Okay, so for the modern era, to kind of give me a clue, how many of you are thinking about a podcast but have not done it yet? 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. How many of you have started and you're under 10 episodes? Okay. How many of you are over 50 episodes? Excellent. All I can say is hold tight, keep going. You're rocking the Casbah. Now, do we have anybody over 300? Okay. Just wanted to know, when you hit about 100 to 300, that's when you want to start thinking about monetizing, okay? You've been doing it long, you obviously enjoy it, blah, blah, blah. But until then, what is your primary concern? And I don't read minds, so please raise your hand. You don't have a concern. Yes, sir?
Have fun.
Have fun. How do you have fun with it? And that is one of the areas you want to definitely work into. Now, the reason I went silent and wanted to know about it, you don't know what I've done, so I'm going to brag a little bit, so forgive me. I'm at 1,128 episodes. I have a team of 15. We were called White Glove Broadcasting. I just sold my media mogulship in April. And now I'm pursuing what I love most, which is I am on Zoom once a week on Open Friday Coffee, helping authors and podcasters not only find each other, but keep their creativity going and reaching their audience. One of the things I would like you to remember is that as you go on the internet and start looking for advice on marketing, how to be better at podcasting, whatever, make sure that that person has no marketing experience. I would like to save you 7 years and $65,000. Does that sound true story enough for you? 7 years, 65,000? Probably had an experience or two on that, right? So this is the thing. Actually, I've spent $149,000 to be where I am today, okay? That was money that I put forth that nobody paid me back for. I call it tuition. I have a PhD in podcasting. Actually, they changed the name of my program. My first program was called audio blogging. It was a thing called Blog Talk Radio. And what they wanted me to do was they wanted me to sell a product. I went, I can sell. I'm a very good salesman. No problem. What is it? Anybody remember Kellogg's Fiber One bars? They were seeking out women in radio to sell Fiber One bars. I said, sure, no problem. I'll sell your Fiber One bars, but I want to have a few guests on my show. I want to have a few things that I can talk about for people. Like, can you get me in touch with Barbara Walters? Maybe it's a little old for your time. No problem. Let's talk to Oprah Winfrey. And they were like, oh my gosh, well, you don't have enough subscribership? No, that never came up. Because at the time, audio bloggers were on radio. It was still considered radio. Like, they didn't worry about listenership. What did they worry about? Geography. Okay, so how does this work for you? What is your geography? What is it that you love most about where you live? Where you live is so underrated by you. And somebody else would pay through the nose to live where you live. Did you know, I'm sure you did, you probably learned this in middle school, Arkansas is the only state that they found diamonds when this country first started, right? After the Louisiana Purchase. There's a reason you got a diamond on your license plate and the flag has a diamond. How do I know this? I went to high school in Missouri, and we had to learn about Arkansas history too, because we're kind of connected in ways that a lot of people don't want to remember. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to share with you, where you live is wonderful. Did you know Arkansas is the only place that has 3 different types of gold? Black Hills gold. Anybody know about Black Hills gold? Oh, man, okay. Where you live is rich in history and things to be proud about. So in your podcast, dig into not only your own personal experience, but the county that you live in. You will find so much interesting stuff. I had a person ask me, oh, in case you weren't there for the warm-up, we had the warm-up down in a different area here in this library that Ty may have told you about. And as far as that warm-up, somebody asked me, where do your ideas come from? I said, my problem is I can't shut them off. And for those of you who have that kind of creativity, make sure that with your podcast, if you want to be successful and be able to make money later on and potentially, help it pay the bills, right, is you want to stay central to your core. Who is the one person that you are trying to reach? When Kate talked about cramps, we kind of had an idea, just a little. And I'm sorry, Ann, I wasn't here for your talk. Otherwise, I'd be highlighting and talking about you as well. I apologize about that. I was busy at the warm-up downstairs. So the thing that I absolutely want to help you folks with is get your podcast to a level where you're having fun and you're having a good time, and at the same time, you don't get sucked into the media machine. Now, for those of you who are currently you're pushing play or publish on your podcast, how many of you have more than 2 social media accounts because you're pushing out to them? Yeah, that's okay. Yep, that's what we're told, all right? So I'm going to give you an idea. Do not do this unless it's in alignment with where you want to go in your life. We're going to make you a single-minded, laser-focused podcaster. We're going to give you permission to do it your way, only your way, and if they don't like it, take the bus. This is how you have to be. Stand strong in your core, okay? What are you going to do? If you want to find me on social media, you can't. Oh, yeah, my team has me all over, but you're going to talk to Lynette. You're not going to talk to me. Just like Kate, I am not going to talk to people on social media. I'm going to train them to go to the back of the table, get my business card, which is back there, and sign up for my little You're on Mute card. And what are you going to get? Once a week, you're going to get an email from me that says, here's new content, here's new content, here's new content. Am I going to sell to you? Absolutely not. I'm going to wait until you come to me and say, hey, what can I buy from you? And I'll go, oh, it just so happens I have 96 online courses. What do you want to learn? I have 22 books. Which one do you want to read? I have audiobooks on YouTube. Where do you want to go? I am not going to pitch or sell to them. This is part of the lie that we're taught. We're taught that we have to go out like hunters and seek the buffalo, Colorado, seek the buffalo, go kill it, fillet it, learn it, and then serve it to our client, okay? Please don't make podcasting hard. I started my podcast with a $40 headset. Anybody remember Turtle Beach? Yeah, like your gamer headphones? My kids and I used to game all the time. And so, I was crazy with Warcraft, and let me tell you what I could do with the Ghost, but okay, that's another side story. And what I enjoy doing with you guys is helping you to make money. Like I said, 7 years and $65,000. Number one, get off social media. Don't worry about it. If you're going to put your effort somewhere, please put it in YouTube. Why am I promoting YouTube? Because they now have a place where you can put your podcast up. Oh, and they beat Google the last 3 months in search engines. More people are going to YouTube seeking what they need than Google. How come you didn't hear about that? Do you think Google wants you to know that? All right. How did I learn it? I have a friend at MSNBC. Okay? So that's a little information for you. It's not insider information. It's generally used. It's just you get a lot of information. You're trying to figure it out. Okay. So if you have a couple of episodes that you would like to try to start hitting the publish button on, go to YouTube. You don't even have to worry. Just have a black screen and send it up there. Okay? For those of you who are authors, I got into podcasting because of my authorship. And when somebody said, well, they want the audiobook, Janine, how am I going to do that? And I'm like, you're going to do what I did. If people want the audiobook, they go to my personal website. They do not go to Audible. Go to my personal website, click on the button, and it says, here, go to this playlist on YouTube. And then that playlist plays the book for them. And it's crazy, man. It's like amazing graphics. I'm on Zoom. It's 4 a.m. I go, good morning. I'm going to read chapter 1 to you. And I read chapter 1. And then the playlist has chapter 2, chapter 3. I laugh at my own stuff. It's embarrassing, but I do. I love my jokes. I start laughing. And I laugh while I'm reading the book. I'm like, I'm sorry, just a second. Let me hit pause. I hit pause, and I finish laughing, and then I get back. Or I sneeze. Ooh, sorry, excuse me. Hit pause. Go do what I need to do with my nose. Come back and go, okay, back we are. We were talking about blah, blah. And I just keep reading. I have more people buying my audiobook for the entertainment value than I do because of the content. Because they're like, Janine, I never know what's going to happen with you. One time my headset went dead. I didn't know it until somebody had bought the audiobook. And they said, you're talking and then you stop. I'm like, go back and re-record that, sorry. Make it, I think the word that is used that we all want to scream, I'm right there with Kate and Ann on this one. If one more person says authenticity, I'm going to scream, right? We hear that all the time. We're like, look, I've been authentic. And I got kicked out of your big thing because I was authentic. And now you're telling me to be authentic in a space that's notoriously freaking unsafe. Right? So you determine the level of authenticity that you want. But I do know that that sort of transparency is what sells most. The one that is biggest for me is I'm out in Colorado. I like to snowshoe. No, I do not ski. Those people are crazy, insane. I like to watch them go by me at 60 miles an hour, and I'm going, so glad it's not me, as I go plonk, plonk with my snowshoes, okay, and my poles. I'm out there on a mountainside. I'm only at about 11,000 feet. I don't climb to 14,000 feet. That's bouldering. That's where the trees don't even grow there anymore. No, thank you. That's dangerous. I don't do that. I want to get back home to my kids, right? So I'm at about 12,000 feet, and I'm doing a little video of me standing there. No microphone, no nothing. That is my highest ranked freaking footage on YouTube. I'm like, and if you go to my YouTube channel, I have 256 subscribers. But I make money. Would you like to know how to make money? Oh, well, let me teach you how to make money. Number one, get out of debt. Most of my books that I have back there are all about debt, the 60-40 principle. And I started this podcast back in 2016, back when we were called audio bloggers. They hadn't called us. 2016 was when it shifted from audio blogging to podcasting. So I was still an audio blogger, and I started this thing, and people didn't know you could do it, but I had fun with it, and it was called the 3-Minute Money Tip. Every Monday, I would upload a 3-minute money tip, okay? So you can go and find those old things, and you're just gonna love the thumbnail. Please take pity on me. We didn't have Canva yet. Last thing, get out of debt. Once you do that, make sure that you don't spend money you don't have. So don't spend money on your podcast that you don't have. And number 3, make sure that you're having fun and that you solve one problem with your website with your podcast. And when you're uploading to YouTube, you put a link in the descriptor that goes to one page on your website that is not the home page. It is a page dedicated to your YouTube listeners. And for that, you solve that problem for them. And what you do is you get them on whatever email you want to or what have you, and you don't sell them. You say, here's new content, here's new content, here's new content. And if you want to have a shop, have it on a second page of your website, and they will find you. How are we doing on time? 2 minutes? I have time to open it up for a couple of questions. I know I did more storytelling than other things, but that's because you weren't at the warm-up. No, I'm just joking. I really just want you to make money, and it's hard to, without knowing your specific situation, how to go about making money, but we can help you do that. You don't need a big team until you get to a level where you can start hiring them and you don't have to, you start having a cash flow coming in. We can talk about sponsorships. If you want sponsorships, go to the products you absolutely adore. In my case, it was Story Cubes. Authors are usually the only ones that know about Story Cubes. But Story Cubes is what I got them, and they paid the $197 a month that it cost for me to run my podcast. And they got me rolling until I could get bigger ones. Eventually, I got Wells Fargo. Okay, but before you go big, go small. Go small with things that you like to use that are exciting to you. Thank you for your time. I open it up for questions.